We were just sitting here chatting and realized, my gosh, it's already
Time flies when
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back, Aaron.
Thank you. Happy New Year, all.
And we're going to tell you, we have a lurker. She's hiding in the background. She doesn't want to be seen. But Lily, we love you. Lily's, it's like she's our brain controlling us. Hey, we wanted to talk about a couple of things. I actually want to start off with the Ponomarenko case. This is one of our K1s. We have 3 plaintiffs left in that case. And we have we updated the court yesterday with the filing because Judge Mehta had asked, hey, is this case still active? Are there still files? So we're going to be doing that same thing, Waleed is working with Lily and James to get the numbers for each of the other 3 cases. And we will be filing a similar statement. Oh, Lily, I should have done this. Lily, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I did not put the K's up. I'm sorry.
All right.
So in the Ponomarenko case, thank you, Lily. We did send the update in. And we have 3 plaintiffs left. On Manila, we know that the consulate has stopped processing cases again. Manila apparently is on a level 3 lockdown. I heard from several clients yesterday. So we will still, however, give our update both in the Manila case and the Rio case, but particularly the Manila case, how many are remaining. So if you're watching this, please update the listing.
We've been getting a lot of people doing that. I get copied on every one that fills out that form. So the Manila plaintiffs are doing a good job.
So we're going to file that this week with each of the 3 other courts, London, Moscow, and Rio. We've already filed for Ponomarenko. I guess it's Rio, Manila, and London. I don't know how many we have left in London. I know London was moving people very quickly, but I also know that we had several plaintiffs that were still at the NVC. So we're going to get that data, and we will update that for each of these cases as part of the K1 process. But I want you to update you that first because we get a lot of questions about that in our feed, although we don't have any questions today, and we'll go from that. Let's see. Oh, I did get some data here. Yeah, that's crazy data I just saw from Lily. All right, so we've got the K1s. Now, the other thing we need to talk about here is our DV2022 litigation. All right, 194 whole DVs apparently have been issued in the first 3 months. Remember we told you 3 months ago, we're going to wait before we file to get them to get their act together after having lost twice on this issue. And apparently they don't learn their lesson. They have publicly stated that, hey, yeah, that whole memo about prioritization, yeah, we just told consulates to do whatever they want to do. And they're all filing obviously, statistically speaking, following the protocol, which Judge Mehta has ruled is illegal. So we will now have our intake on DV 2020. Greg, you want to kind of guesstimate when that'll be up?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of it. The FAQ and the apps. Hopefully tomorrow. Fingers crossed if everything works. It's always sort of the if on there, but assuming that everything works, tomorrow would be the goal. Maybe the next day, but tomorrow is hopefully when it's going to happen.
So it should be up tomorrow. We're going to have a tiered structure for payment. If you're for the first 10 days, we're going to try to file this by the 20th, 22nd, somewhere. I guess I should look at a calendar, what day of the week that I don't want to say it's like a Sunday. 21st-ish, possible. We want to get it filed.
Third week of the month.
The end of the third week of the month. I will actually be on vacation that week, but I'm more than happy to look at stuff and get this out the door. It might roll to the 28th, but really we want to try to get it in by the 21st. So the first 10 days, it'll be a set fee, and then after that, it'll be a higher fee. So
I think the fees that we charge for DV 2021 are basically guiding us right now, and we'll probably do pretty similar structure to what we did last year.
All right, so get that done. That'll be out the door. And on the other portions of the DV, so the DV, where are we? I always want to put this up first. So the DV 2020 and the DV 2021, there is no movement. Aaron, do you want to update people on the appeal? What the government has done?
Sure. So the government had a deadline of December 30th to submit a number of documents to the court, and they contacted us the week prior and said,
Christmas week, by the way,
yeah,
like the day before Christmas,
saying, do you have any opposition to us filing to extend this deadline? And we said, yes. Our clients have waited a long time, and we don't want this to drag out any more than it needs to. So yes, we do not want more delay. And so they filed their motion to extend the deadline anyway. The court has not ruled on it, and the deadline passed. So what? Did they blow their deadline? Well, there's this strange rule in the DC circuit that says that if they file the motion, that the deadline is automatically extended until the court rules on the motion. And if the motion's denied, then 7 days beyond the denial of the motion.
Yeah.
So they have not blown a deadline, although it seemed that they had. And we'll see when
it's a great rule if you're a procrastinator.
Yeah. I got to say, I can't imagine that rule existing in the 11th Circuit. I can, the day after your deadline, your case is gone. It's out the door. It's really stunning to me.
But let me tell you that what does it mean? It means, as far as we can tell, they still do not have permission from the higher ups to proceed with this appeal. To me, that seems positive. So, that's better than them already having the green light to fight against us. So I'm still holding up some hope that they won't get the permission and that the appeal will be dismissed. So we will see.
The reason that Darren, they didn't tell us a reason why they wanted it was because they need permission to actually do the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we also know from statements from our colleagues around the country that the Department of State has said that in order for them to issue DV 2020 or DV 2021 visas, they have to do an upgrade, I think they said, to 3 or 5 different databases to allow the issuance of a backdated visa. They say that's going to take them till April.
Have they called us and asked for some kind of settlement where they could actually work something out and agree to do all this rather than keeping the courts busy?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't.
No, because power.
Yeah.
There is entrenched in the Department of State a bureaucracy at a certain level that says no. If we get in the conundrum of having to issue visas that we didn't get to, we're going to get behind like the USCIS. Oh, wait a second. They're already behind like the USCIS.
Before we move on, I see a question in the chat that I'll just address now. It says, if the government appeal is dropped, if they do not decide to continue with the appeal, would we also drop the cross appeal? We haven't actually come to a final conclusion on that, but yes, my inclination would be that yes, we would also drop the appeal. From the beginning, we have said we do not want this case, the reserved visas that Judge Mehta has ordered to be issued, to be taken away. And so my inclination would be that if the government is not going to appeal, then we are going to let Judge Mehta's order stand.
A bird in the hand.
That's right. That's good. All right. So those are those cases. We've got the H-1B lottery abuse case. We are going to be filing our motion for summary judgment on Friday. Well, Lead is working with me on that, and hopefully this evening I'll get my review done and then get it out to our colleagues for them to review. We think we have a very good case. We've got extraordinary evidence just pouring in, guys. This is crazy stuff. You've got somebody put on Twitter a email that they got that said, hey, if you work for us, we'll put your name in 3 times for 3 different companies. I mean, the whole game, the system is now just out in the open. They're saying the quiet part out loud. And to me, that's just stunning to me. I just still can't believe, because mostly because I guess you get gray hair, you've been through it. We know the Department of State had this exact same issue in the early 90s. They were overwhelmed with tens of millions of applications. Tens of millions of applications. I think the 92 lottery had something like 55 million envelopes that got mailed. Can you imagine the dude in the mailroom having to open all these things, and they had to then manually put them in the database? So they woke up. Oh, why are we allowing this? It's not like Congress said there was only one entry. They clearly, they could run the lottery how they want. So, why didn't CIS just listen to Microsoft, the chamber, dozens of other comments? They're just blowing them off. This is going to happen. We also want to alert people that we have been contacted by the IT Serve Alliance through their lawyers. They want to intervene in our case and stop us from winning. And their reasons for stopping us from winning are, we're going to go back to the old rules and it's really expensive and we got to do H-1Bs and, it's hard. Okay. Then CIS should settle the case and issue a one-word change to the regulation. We don't want to stop the lottery as it currently is in the context of its simplicity. We want to simply make the simple fair. That's it. Now, if the judge rules that, we're right, the lottery, because we believe the regulation is illegal as it's currently written, then I assume he would revert back to the old regulations. Well, that's the way it is. Now, CIS doesn't want that to happen. They can easily settle the case and change the regulation. And they can do that on an emergency basis. We don't have to have the lottery on March 1st. They don't have to have because what happened last year was, hey, beginning March 1 through, was it March 1 through 15 or 3 through 15, you could submit your lottery applications. And then they selected them in April and in late March. They don't have to have them that week. They could have them later.
Chuck, I would say 4 words summarize what we want. One person, one chance.
Ooh, I like that.
That's it. We're not talking, you can structure it any way you want. You can have an electronic registration system. You can go back to the old system, but that's what we want is one person, one chance. You can't have 20 chances because you went out and found 20 people to file applications for you, so that the one person who's trying to do, has one offer and that's the one they really want, has 1/20th the chance that the next guy has.
Yep. We make sure that's going to be the first 4 words in our motion for summary judgment. One person, one chance. Make sure we get that written down. Waleed, are you listening? You need to write that down in there. So that's the lottery abuse case. We are obviously opposed, and the government is opposed to this intervention. We have declined to share documents with them because our case is closed, and we will continue to fight any intervention by anybody into the case.
But no motion has been made yet.
No.
They will be making a motion, we assume, but they have not made it yet. So there's nothing before the court on it.
Yeah. So we're going to go from there. And that's kind of where we are in that one for that reason. All right. What else do we have? We've got the EAD case. Where are we on? Their answer's got to be due shortly, Aaron.
It is. It's due later this month. And we will see what they want to do with it. After their answer, we will be needing to submit our motion for class certification. And so those are the next steps. But we expect to have developments in this case over the course of the coming weeks and month or so.
Good. So there we go. And obviously what we're doing is trying to fight them to get back to a 90-day standard on issuing EADs. A woman called me yesterday, distraught. She's lost her job. She filed her extension in February of last year. It's been 11 months. I mean, it's unconscionable that the Biden administration doesn't make regulatory or policy changes, which they can easily do with their website, just like they did for TPS. Hey, by the way, your EAD is good for another year or whatever. Go for it. And you print out the website and you're good to go. Why is that not happening on these non-discretionary EADs? Why is that not happening?
The other thing that's only tangentially related here, but I saw somebody on Twitter yesterday pointing out that when there are surges in COVID and Omicron, and it's going to be tougher possibly to do things at the field offices, it's the perfect time to put your resources into adjudicating things that don't need an interview. So why don't we see that? Why don't we see a flood of adjudications of adjustments that don't need interview, of EAD? But we don't. So they just haven't done a great job.
I don't know if you guys saw that little email that James sent around to us internally a few minutes ago about the OIG report that just came out about USCIS and the terrible job that they've done adjudicating cases in certain contexts. Apparently, the EADs are adjudicated using the Claims 3 computer system, which requires manual intervention, as opposed to the Ellis system, which is the electronic filing online, which does not require, and that's 765 is not on there. N400s are on there. So last year they had a great number of N400s because they're all electronic, but they had no 765s, which they're sitting on. I don't know. It must be sitting on 1 million of them. Got to be 1 million of them sitting in their database. So there's that. It's just kind of great stuff. And by the way, congrats, Greg. The travel ban is now officially gone. I will just say, if you want to mention something about immigration reform, before we go to questions here, anything you want to mention?
No, I mean, the Build Back Better, I think that the one effect of Manchin's interview on Fox, where he said he wasn't doing it, was it took it out of the news. My understanding is there is a quiet discussion happening for something much more scaled back. Immigration still would have an uphill battle, even if they manage to come to some kind of compromise and decide to proceed. I think that the analogy that I heard with the football analogy I heard was that with BBB, that it's an immigration that it's not even clear that they are going to make getting BBB, any kind of bill would be like making the playoffs. And it's not even clear that immigration would, like, getting immigration in there would be like making the Super Bowl.
Is that just because of the parliamentarians' rulings? Because I didn't think that Manchin had any objection to the immigration stuff.
He doesn't have objections substantively to the immigration stuff, but he does have he has a procedural objection to bypassing the parliamentarian. If they did reach some kind of deal with Manchin, the way immigration would work its way in would be they would have to bypass the parliamentarian, have a vote where they would need 40 votes. Manchin would vote obviously against it, but they wouldn't need Manchin's vote in order to keep immigration in. The question is, whether Manchin would still use that as an excuse to vote to take down the final package on there if they don't comply with his demands 100%. And that's what's not really clear with Manchin right now. He has all the power. So the question is, is he willing to look the other way on that, or is he going to basically say you have to do it exactly the way I want it, or it's not happening?
All right. So come questions here. Aaron, did you have anything you want to add on that?
I was just going to say, I was imagining being a student new to U.S. government and learning about the way that legislation works and watching this play out and just how insane it is.
The only thing I will say for folks is that what's happening on the Hill is that right now on immigration is that everything has been held up from all other kinds of immigration legislation that's possibly going to be moving, waiting on this Build Back Better, either for immigration to happen or not to happen. So the door has to shut on that bill. After that, we might start seeing some of the things like the healthcare immigration bill, the startup visa, and some other things where they think they might be able to get Republicans on board. That's going to be the stuff that's going to be moving. So, that's the stuff to look for, things where Republicans where you can find 10 Republican senators that'll vote for a bill. Those are the only things that are going to probably move. It's possible they could slip some things into, they have a budget bill that they have to pass to extend the government again in February. It is possible they could throw immigration provisions in there. And since those bills are so broad and so important, they might be able to get Republicans to vote for those bills, even with a few immigration provisions that they're not thrilled with. So that's the other vehicle that you could look at other than standalone bills. But I'm not super optimistic even for that. They probably will just continue extending things as they have been for 2 years now.
Well, I come to Greg for optimism on immigration reform, and you did not deliver for me today.
I do actually think, though, that one thing that I would the Biden administration has been disappointing to us, left and right. But you got to remember the Obama administration, which was also in a lot of respects disappointing. And they did DACA before an election. And that was because I think politically they knew that was going to be a payoff. There would be a payoff for them. The timing of that, doing it in June, right before the 2012 election. And Obama also, when immigration reform failed in late 2013, he had said, he delivered that famous speech where he said he was going to try and do as much as he could through executive action that would have been done in immigration reform. And I could see the same thing happening after BBB with with Joe Biden taking the position that he's going to get more aggressive in using executive actions to do things that that Congress is just not going to do on their own, similar to Obama. So I'm a little bit more optimistic as far as what the Biden administration is going to do this year. I also think that some of the, now that a lot of all his people are in place, we'll start to see some improvements. Some of the changes that, fixes that we saw over the last 60 days or so were driven by a few political appointees that have finally kind of gotten their mojo and starting to figure out what they're doing. The latest one with the EAD expedites for healthcare workers, that one, I know a lot about that because
you should, Greg, because you started it.
Well, that one was started, believe it or not, by a tweet on there from Elisa Taub at our firm, and I retweeted it, and then I got contacted by somebody in the administration who was like, "What's going on with this?" And he took it on, and that memo is what resulted on there. But it's these are folks that most of them were not even in their positions until like July, August on there. So I am a little bit optimistic that some of the stuff that we've seen from, I think a lot of the fighting that we've done in court is because of the career people.
I agree.
That have been in charge essentially, and that's not unusual for the first year of a new White House. So hopefully, some of these very pro-immigration, very good people that we know are in these positions are starting to get the upper hand and starting to figure things out, and we might start to see some good things coming. I think premium processing is going to be something that's going to change the game, and we're going to see that in the first quarter of the year, expanding out some of these categories. And I think some of the stuff like that we were just talking about, Aaron, what you were just talking about, some of that's probably got a better chance now than it would, say, 3 or 4 months ago.
And that's Greg being optimistic.
That's the optimistic.
I'm not going to get pessimistic today. That's just I just want to keep suing them and holding them accountable.
We will keep suing.
DG, good to see you. The Go deadlines, we talked about that. It was wonderful. Let's see. K1 Manila just received NB Transit Embassy. Well, thank you. You're welcome. How about freaking time? But the embassy's closed. At least that's what colleagues are saying, that the embassy is in lock, because Manila, apparently the city is in a level 3 lockdown. I heard that from 2 different people yesterday. When DV20 will enter the United States, in reality, because I sold all your property. I don't know. When you get a visa, you'll get to come. Again, the government said they're probably not going to issue any visas before April for DV20 or 2021. So, did they ever give they have a status report coming up, don't they, in one of those cases in front of Judge Mehta?
Gomez,
yeah, he's got a status report coming up. I can't wait to see that. That should be a lot of fun.
That should be for a lesson as well for DV2022 folks. Litigation is great and all that, but you have to don't make decisions on any assumptions that the government is going to perform their job correctly.
Correct. Shahika, your husband's here. That's awesome. I hope you're here too. I hope you're both here. Lily already answered this. Okay, Lily's on top. Lily's great on this stuff already. After the failure of visa recovery, is there any hope for another law? Well, as Greg pointed out, you know, it's kind of like the witch in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Not the witch, but the beggars who are dying of the plague. I'm not dead yet. I'm getting better. I think I'll take a walk. Not dead. It's just probably going to look.
I actually that's one of the bills where I'm more optimistic is a recapture bill. When I talked about finding 10 Republican senators, there's a large group of Republicans, and this is sort of taking the position. It used to just be sort of like just the ones on the immigration subcommittee that had this view of the world that they wanted no net increase in green card numbers under any circumstances. So if you increase green card numbers for one category, you had to take them away from another. You could not now, and that is basically now the Republican default position for the whole party. However, recapture is the one thing that they seem to be flexible on, is because in their view, these were numbers that were already approved, and they and they're not really increasing green card numbers, even though you really are. But you're not really increasing the amount that Congress originally approved, I guess is the way to look at it. And that is there may be as many as 500,000 numbers to recapture. So if they could do that, and perhaps the early adjustment language, which is also something that doesn't violate that net increase rule, philosophy, you could pick out some of the things that were in Build Back Better and maybe find 10 Republicans to vote for it if you are very lucky.
All right, there's a really great question here from Soham. How fair is it for a U.S. graduate to go through a lottery and not get selected after studies? What's the impetus to come here if you can't work after graduation?
Good question.
Well, that's the Republican idea is, well, you'll go back home and use your education against us in future wars. Oh, wait a second. Did I say that out loud? I mean, isn't that basically what you're saying when you're saying don't stay? It's crazy, right?
That is a reminder of what the Republicans in the past used to look at immigration as a sort of as a family values and national security and all kinds of good
yes,
things.
And the brightest, we're the shining.
Right.
Let me get at my Reagan farewell speech. I think Republicans have forgotten what he said. As part of it. Yeah, so it makes no sense whatsoever. It's just stupid. I'm old enough to remember when Republicans used to say, why don't we staple a green card to every PhD and master's degree?
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Or Stephen Miller.
Yeah, they're gone now, though. On the EAD delay suit, yeah, it's, hopefully we'll get some answers here shortly for everybody on that. Shashika, I'm from Sri Lanka. My husband already got a green card via was unable to attend the interview due to the pandemic. What is the best way to get visa now? Your husband needs to file for you an I-130. That'll take 10 months, 8 to 10 months. Then you'll be interviewed at the consulate 8 months, 10 months later for your green card. That's what you need to do now.
That's right. That's assuming they were married before you got the green card.
Or now, it doesn't matter. I mean, they
got married after the green card. Well, the process is going to be the same, but it's just how long the wait is going to differ.
Yeah, she can't follow the joint. I presume he got a green card for the lottery, is what I'm assuming. So, you can't. There's no following the joint after year end on the lottery. So, you just do the F2. I'm actually doing that right now for an Iranian woman who just couldn't get back to Turkey for the interview for her mom and dad. And the question there is, remember, the petitioning relative has to live in the United States. They have to be resident. As I like to tell people, it's not a permanent vacation card. It's a permanent resident card. All right. So let's see. Lily, a U.S. graduate should be given. We agree with that. So we're all in agreement. Gomez, 7 January report. There we go. Well, it's not our report. We're the Acker people as part of that case. And I guess you know this, but the lead lawyer in Gomez left the case. He withdrew from the case. So I assume Karen Musala is going to take over the lead lawyering on that case. Let's see. Having a DS affect my tourist visa application. That's a great question, Greg. Do you have an answer to that question? So he's a Go winner, filed a DS-260. Can he still get a tourist visa?
In theory, it's possible. you still have to demonstrate every time you file for a tourist visa that you don't have intentions to immigrate. And obviously filing a DS-260 is an indication of that. What you have to do is to focus on the purpose of the trip that is about to happen and demonstrate that you will be coming back well in advance of your coming in on a green card. Whether you have an intention to immigrate one day doesn't bar you from getting a tourist visa today. So the answer is yes, but you need to be really careful about how you approach it, and also get some luck, because when you go to the interview, you get like 2 or 3 minutes in one of these visas, and they are going to see they'll see on the system that you have this pending. So you have to get an officer who at least is willing to have an open mind.
I like this question, Aaron, because it really goes to what we do, right? I mean, we know the laws, we know the policies, but it's the unexpected things that happen. How do you deal with unprecedented delays in execution? How do you deal with a recalcitrant Department of State, a incompetent USCIS? The law is clear. Hey, you file this, you get that. Why is that not happening? I just thought this was a really good comment for people. It's frustrating. It's super frustrating for those of us that are involved in the process on a daily basis. But our lives aren't on the line. These are your lives on the line. And then we know how frustrating that is. That's why we give the service we give to clients, because that's really the most important part, is helping you get through these unprecedented and unexpected delays. All right. Does Interfile reset the AC 20-day clock? Oh, this is somebody referring to the old I-140 game where your adjustments pending, it became backlogged. But you have a new I-140 in a different category that's current, and you want to interfile that. I do not believe it resets the 180-day clock. Do you, Greg?
No.
Yeah, I think you're good there. Like, I know you joined a little late. Go up to the top. We talked about Go earlier. Jason Claude, what did the government say they are considering waiving interviews? Think will be applied to K-1s? No. That was an easy answer. Aaron, will the government ever waive K-1 interviews?
No.
Never.
But we might start at some time. We might start to see video interviews.
Let's see. Timeline for the Go appeal. It's our last question here. Timeline for the Go appeal is, well, our briefs. The government's got to get their stuff in, and then that begins a clock. Once the government files their documents, a clock starts ticking. And I think from that date, the government has 3 weeks to file their opening brief. I think we have then 2 or 3 weeks to file our reply brief. Our response to the government has a reply brief, and then the court would set oral arguments. But we are 6 months away from any decision in those cases. 6 months. Muhammad did ask, any hope for EB relief this year? Is it 2022? All I can do is say I hope, I wish, but I don't expect. All right, guys, it has been great. Oh, we go. Oh, my banner's still up. There we go. Been great to be with you today. Happy New Year. We will hopefully get the DV2022 FAQs up tomorrow, and we'll start publicizing that. Aaron, you look relaxed and ready to go after that trip to Peru. Greg had his trip to Mexico. I leave for Hawaii in 2 weeks. So
Nice.
Got a little break. All right, guys. Have a great Lily. Lily, you want to say goodbye? Say goodbye, Lily.
Hello, goodbye.
See you guys later.